this camera set up right here and get an angle proper. Well, it was a whole hell of a lot harder to set this damn camp up than I thought it would be. We got it all done. Sitting down, have a little beer. I'm sitting out in the woods all by myself. It's a little bit harder than I thought it was going to be. What do we got here? Beer and brats. I miss that little. I'm sitting out here in the woods, missing my boy. Am I just a screwed up human being? You think about these things and you're just like, you're a worthless bastard. You never are satisfied, are you? You're not satisfied. If someone's up here, they talk too much. No one's up here, no one to talk to. What else is interesting besides you watching me eat like a backwoods pig?
My name is Aaron Falls. I'm a diver, a divulger, an indulger, and I'm going into the drink. Southern California is everything it's cracked up to be. Pulsing with energy, swollen with opportunity, leather and silicone, and that's just on dry land. No matter where you live or what language you speak, this is one place I don't have to do a long backstory on. As it relates to me, just know that I was born and raised on the East Coast, where you're taught that California is for limp-wristed movie stars and girly types that can't hack it in the snow. But you know what? I hate the winter, I don't ski, and if that means I'm not man enough to hack it in the Northeast, then by all means, take over my lease and I'll look for a 2-bedroom in West Hollywood. Aisle seat, thank you very much. Please have a driver waiting for me at LAX tomorrow. Meet Johnny Wright, one of the finest frontmen Seattle, Washington has ever produced.
The only guy that would make an 800-mile round trip, get on an airplane, fly another 1,000 miles.
Glad you're here. When I talked to you about this yesterday, you kept running your mouth about, I drove 400 miles one way. I was like, let's just make it worth this bastard's while. If he's gonna whine about leaving his hunting trip.
Dude, for real?
Yeah.
This is probably as good a time as any to lay a little geography lesson on you. Mostly because I'm hoping that after you finish watching the next segment, you'll think back to how sophisticated I sound now and remember that I'm not always a drunken idiot.
Dude, we haven't even gotten on we haven't even dove yet. Okay, go. Ready?
Sophisticated and educated.
Oh, did it look cool?
California's Channel Islands are an archipelago of 8 major islands that stretch more than 160 miles, from San Miguel in the north to San Clemente in the south. The majority of the diving John and I did was off San Clemente. It's considered part of Los Angeles County, but owned by the U.S. Navy. One thing to know something, another thing entirely to experience it. As a rule, my interest in anything leafy begins and ends at the produce section of my supermarket. But this is fascinating stuff. The kelp beds of California's Channel Islands are among the most biodiverse environments anywhere on Earth, above or below the water. It's as lush and green as any rainforest, and like its terrestrial counterpart, home to thousands of species. There's three basic parts to kelp: the holdfast, the stipe, and the fronds. The holdfast is the root system. They look like eerie long fingers hanging onto the bottom for dear life. The stipe is essentially the stalk of the kelp, and these can be over 300 feet long. You'll notice these gas-filled pouches every few inches or so. They keep the plant growing vertically. The fronds are what you've probably seen, the big thick leaves that grow all along the stipe, from the bottom up to and along the surface. Next time your neighbor is complaining about having to trim his hedges and mow his precious lawn, let him know it could be worse. Kelp can grow up to 3 feet a day. A day. If I could only dive in kelp beds for the rest of my life, I'd be satisfied. 1 minute you're kneeling down, taking in the spectacle. The next minute you feel like you're swinging through the vines of the jungle canopy. And sure enough, eventually all this begins to seem perfectly natural.
I love it, man. It's like swimming in a forest. It's really cool. There's a lot going on. It's, all the life is very concentrated in the kelp forest. Just so much going on in here. You see some schooling stuff out on the ridge outside the line of the kelp, but truly it's incredible. It really is.
All right, ready? Rock and roll entry.
After a couple days exploring, I began to see the Channel Islands less as islands and more as a mountain range. A dozen people could drop in and swim in opposite directions and all come back with totally different experiences. One way leads you down a gentle sloping bottom, another to the edge of an underwater cliff that plummets hundreds of feet below. And from the bottom to well beyond the surface, animals from both land and sea are not only dependent on the kelp forest, but an integral part of it. From the plankton that gives the water its green tint to the birds that call the nearby island home.
Let's go home. You want to taste some wine?
No, I think let's go taste some wine.
Taste some wine?
Yeah, we'll be home soon.
All right,
enough.
enjoy the journey, taste some wine.
We'll take a hot air balloon ride. Ride a horny. Ride a horny. Did I say ride a horny?
You did.
Honey, I didn't mean ride a horny.
We can cut that out.
On the list of best ways to see wine country, my first choice would not have been hundreds of feet up in the air and at the crack of dawn.
What a way to wake up.
But the good thing about a hot air balloon ride is if you're not a morning person, odds are you'll be just awake enough to appreciate the serenity of the view and asleep enough to forget that the only thing between you and the ground is a propane-dependent wicker basket.
Who are these people? Don't they realize that we were here first?
Yeah, it's another balloon company. It's the competition.
How long have you been doing this?
I took my first ride when I was 4 years old in 1978 with my parents, and I got my license in 1992.
What's involved in getting your license? Because I can't imagine there's a whole lot of parallel parking or checking rear view mirrors or anything.
There's none of that, but it's the same licensing procedure as any other pilot. We have a pilot's license issued by the FAA. There's a number of hours and training hours that you need, and then a battery of tests. There's an oral test, a written test, and a flight test.
Cool.
The fact that the South Coast Winery has won the Golden Bear Trophy 2 years in a row wouldn't be enough to make me haul for Temecula. But here's what did. Since Jim Carter produced his first bottle in 2003, South Coast Winery has won more than 650 major awards. And since the map of California's hallowed wine country historically doesn't go much below Santa Barbara, that means he's rewriting the book on where the best wine comes from.
I wanted to grow the very best grapes I could grow here in Temecula, Southern California. Well, I'm not smart, I'm lucky, because I picked Wild Horse Peak.
Friends, you are witness to my first wine tasting ever.
Just teach me. Mold me. Looks more professional if I swish it around in the glass, right? I like to combine steps. There you go. I'm a multitasker. I think it's got a woodier taste to it.
Okay.
Is that right?
Yeah, because it has a little more oak, kind of oaky. Yeah.
It's not that I would have voted against horseback riding. Johnny was way more jazzed about playing cowboy through the vineyard than I was, but I'll admit that once I knew enough to not get myself thrown, it was a lot of fun.
See, now we're having fun.
Yeah, it's fun. So how's Aaron doing?
I'm very impressed. He looks like he's been riding his whole life. He's really good, very natural in the saddle.
And in the process, I got a great education on why South Coast Winery is so darn special.
You got to have the product that people are going to want to come to see. People aren't going to come to Temecula, but now that we've won Winery of the Year, beating out Sonoma and Napa, I mean, those are huge.
Huge.
Have you ever actually done yoga before? Or
No.
I've never done anything.
I have two words for you: yoga and wine. Two things I never thought I'd enjoy, and certainly not at the same time.
Are you supposed to drink it after the yoga or before?
Have a very tender moment, you and I, because your head's gonna be on my rear end.
All right, cool.
Yes?
Yeah, see, you just gotta know how to talk to a broad, right? You gotta,
we
you
will
know, you
actually
gotta
have
be
a very
polite
tender
and
moment, you and
whatnot.
I, because your head's gonna be on my rear end.
All right, cool.
Yes?
I'm on my best behavior.
It's too late.
Wait, so are you saying that you want me to not be polite or you want me to be
Can
polite?
you see the small of my back?
Yes.
Start to sit down into it.
Are you sure?
I'm positive. You could sit up just a little bit higher. Yeah, and then lean back. It's like extreme yoga, yeah?
Oh my goodness.
Too much?
No, this is amazing. Wow.
Cheers to you.
I feel like I owe you a hug after that.
After about an hour of downward dogs and aligning my energy fields, I found my inner chi and my preferred bouquet.
I feel like we should be in Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus.
It is a little circ, yes. Go ahead and push even harder so your arms straighten out. Let your shoulders relax back. Yeah.
Accuse me of selling out if you want to.
How am I doing?
Pretty good,
Fantastic,
dude.
yeah. I'm gonna shift my feet back out and you're gonna fall
Pretty
back
awesome.
into me.
Okay.
But
So take
this
your legs
woman
apart.
was very,
They're heavy.
very convincing.
Good. Now I'm gonna bend my knees out and we're gonna take your left arm.
This is the best thing about California. So you have cranes, bridge, industry, shipment crates from all around the world, more industry, you know, big old containers of what I'm assuming is flammable fluid, a mariachi band, more cranes, more dock stuff, industry, and then palm trees and $500,000 condos. I love California. I love California.
That is the door now.
Yeah. I'm not so sure about this. Now, I know you guys know that I wasn't entirely sold on the idea of spearfishing before I came on. I wasn't against it, but I wasn't for it, but I think in my mind, I assumed it was more, you know, chest beating, more, not bloodlust is the word I'm looking for, but I had in my head a preconceived notion of what spearfishing is and what it means to you guys. The thing that I noticed after just a day of being in the water with you, and as I was coming through the water and one of you guys would be coming through, the thing that struck me when I came out of the water was it never felt like I was encountering something that didn't belong in the water. Your movement through the water seemed like any other animal that I was seeing down there, and that was weird to me. If I see another diver, a scuba diver, I go, well, there's another diver blowing bubbles. But with you guys, it was just so graceful and so calculated that it just seems like you guys do kind of become one. You guys do become part of the environment that you're working in.
It's the only way it works. And that's what we're trying to do, and not to be obtrusive. And they were saying you get inside and get into that area, and if you've got that kill mentality, which I think was where you were going there, they pick up on that, and it just kind of shoves everything out of the way. But we're actually trying to get in there, be accepted by everything, and bring it in, and just become one with the environment, and
be selective.
Yeah.
Well, that's funny. You bring that up because, John, I know we talked about it a couple days ago. It's a very selective kind of hunting. I mean, you kept telling me about how many fish you let pass by. I mean, you've barely shot this entire weekend.
It makes me really proud to stand with this group of guys because we really back up what they talk about. And I think, the general public may misconceive this whole thing and they may lump us in with the other, but you can only do what you can do yourself to change that. And I'm really glad that you guys got a chance to come out with us and experience it and see that it's a lot different than maybe you thought coming in.
Anyone who thinks diving in cold water is too much work for too little to see hasn't been witness to the towering beauty of a kelp forest. Because if they were, the issue would then become too little time to take in so much. Anyone who tells you California is a place to keep the superficial has never been below the surface. Just offshore or down the street, there's more here than you've been told. Make up your own mind. Go west. Take a friend with you.
My work here is done.
We're done, Nick. It's really sketchy that you're coming up wearing a hood, by the way. I just want you to know.
How was your time today? Good? It's so stupid American instead of
I think Mark is perpetually worried about starving at sea in case we sink or get lost in the middle of the Pacific. So he's constantly storing up. He's ready in case, we're out there for, 2 or 3 years. So basically right now, I'm disturbing that.
But I can easily get rid of you too. I just go like this.